I have a love for my ex, right? But hold up. Can you love two people at the same time? Okay, I'm excited for this shit.
See, you were the example right now. You wanted to bring up two people.
Let me pull this back then. Like, hold up. Let me just reel this back in real quick before I get fucking divorce paperwork on my fucking desk tomorrow morning. I think that this is where we're gonna get into the weeds here. I think this is a bad topic to talk about, but I'm a very in-depth person. Sarah, I talk as if she's not here. Okay, so I'm about to go real deep. You know. Now I'm curious about this. I'm really curious. And again, we're just sticking to this. We're gonna have to do another show where we can talk about the rest. But I think this is such an interesting topic. This is why I want to have a conversation with you about it. If you say you love something, right? And I feel like love is a moment. I don't think love is like when I think of it as like a picture or like a recording of like a time, like a piece of time. Love is like a but it's something to cherish, because when you don't have it, right, you just remember that time when you used to at that moment in time. So like, I have a love for my ex, right? But hold up. But the reason I say that is that there's some sense of like, hold up. Yeah, I know we're going to get real deep here. We've been drinking. So if anything goes bad, we've been drinking apple juice. If anything goes bad, I'm blaming on the juice. Okay. But the reason I say that is because that moment of time in my life, that instance, right? That experience that I had with that individual at that one point in time, is a moment of actual true feeling of love. A sense of like feeling like, man, the safety. Now, whatever happened after that experience, right? That's not, that's the shit. Okay, homie, realize, hey, shit, this is real life out here in the streets. But I think there is some truth to say that, like, you can love something in the moment, right? And there's some great moments to love, right? There's some great moments in life that you can love, right? But if let's say, I don't want to get real deep into it, but this is the podcast, right? But let's say you have a love for your family, or we have love for your family, but you have a falling out. Is it just like that love doesn't exist anymore? Is it not there? Like, you have a love for art, right? If art starts turning into like this like weird thing that destroys your life, there's still this sense of love for that art. Like, at some point in time, there was a time where it made you happy. Not just that, but it filled you up. It made you feel safety. It gave you the security that you need, right? Is it possible to love something and love something else at the same time? To love two things at the same time?
Now, when you ask this, do you mean after the fact that something that you loved before had already
has gone? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like, is it possible for you to love something that you
let's just we're being really vague here, okay? Let me tone it back.
Okay.
Let me go straight there, okay? Right. I'm gonna go full stop, okay? No cap, no bullshit.
Full send.
Let's just all gas, no brakes, this shit right here, okay? Can you love two people at the same time?
Oh, you talking about people? I thought
no,
talking about art.
Hold up. Because we just clarified, like we just clarified two things, whatever you want to call it. But we just clarified that there's two love, right? Loving for something. You could love art, yes. Right? You can two things at the same time, right? It's possible to have that type of distinction.
I got the answer.
Okay, I'm excited for this shit.
Okay. So, yeah, I would say that when it comes to people, at least, you can definitely love two people at the same time. But just to be straight, you're in love with the idea of being with someone, and there's also you're in love with the actual person and how they actually are. And, So you can be all like, oh, I'm in love with my ex, like my ex this and my ex that. Well, it's been some time now. Are they the same person? Do they still have the same views, same morals? What was it that made you guys break up in the first place? Why wasn't that working out? And was it something that could, you guys can move on from there. Is it something that she had to work on, you had to work on, right? Like, but then again, that's in the past. Now you're in the present. You're with Sarah now, and you found out.
Well, hold on. They're not talking about me.
No. You were the example sis, right now. You wanted to bring up two people.
Let me pull this back then. Wait, hold up. Let me just reel this back in real quick before I get fucking divorce paperwork on my fucking desk tomorrow morning. I'm talking about the moment, right? I'm talking about the moment, right? You can love the moment. You can love the essence of the time, the snapshot. You can love the picture, right? Because that moment, right, was something of love. That moment was something of specialness, right? I'm not wishing to have that moment back.
No.
What I'm saying is that I'm not wishing to have that moment back. What I'm saying is that moment in time, that moment of essence and time, right? That feeling, that excitement, that whatever, right? That's a moment that I don't wish to forget. That's a moment I don't wish to discard. That's a moment I'm glad that has happened, and I don't think I would want to be. I would say living life, but I don't think I would want my life to be without that moment, because without that moment, I wouldn't know what love is.
Yes, it wouldn't be a learning lesson. It's definitely a milestone, and it's kind of like that one thing that needs to happen in your timeline in order for like the rest of your life to go the right way, the way that it's intended to. Like if it doesn't happen, like you're screwed, pretty much, I guess, type thing. I think that even if you took that one moment in time out, another moment would happen in its place. Maybe not with the same person or around the same day or whatever, but it eventually would happen in a similar fashion, because it's something that you...
So you think it's fate?
So either fate or like it's something that you would have had to gone through in your life before, getting to the final place that you are now. Like, I don't want to make it about you and Sarah again, but like, like saying like if you hadn't gone through that, then you wouldn't know how to treat Sarah correctly. You feel me? Like if you hadn't gone through that, what you had learned, then you wouldn't be able to pass on that knowledge and do better or like grow from that. Like you had to go through that.
So I agree here. I agree that the dynamic that I had, right, with that person. This is okay. Everyone, for context here, okay, guys. I'm not saying this. This is she who be not be named. Okay, never will be named. Okay, because out of just necessity of just survival here. But my point is that I think that this is a big topic to talk about, because right now what I feel is that the question here is like, what do you love, right? And understanding not just what you love right now, but what do you love? What has been key moments in your life that you, right? Because then you have a good understanding what love is, right? These moments that you feel like, man, I was actually in love with art, in love with this person, in love with this by doing this, like climbing this, running this, flying here, traveling here. What that feeling of understanding truly what you love, right, may not just be in the individual, but it's the feeling that you have. So what's the common denominator here is not the person or the instance. It is me, right? I'm the common denominator, because I, right, and love, right, and then the other thing, right, whatever the other thing, product, person, service, place, whatever it is, that is the common denominator. So the feeling that I have in that individual, the feeling that I have in that situation, I feel like is love. That situation is love. It doesn't. You understand my concept?
Yeah, and in that sense, like I feel like the feeling of love there, it kind of translates into like whatever it is that you're doing. It makes you feel like you can always grow within it. Like it makes you feel like you're grown because of it. Like, does that make sense?
Yeah. And I feel like that's why I mean, like that moment of time, that snapshot of like that feeling of love is something I wouldn't take back. The person, the individual, right? I think I understand what you're saying. Yeah. It would have been anything, right? It could have been something else. It could have been different. That would have been substituted for something else. But the way I feel is that love, for that instance of love, me, love, and that whatever, right, whoever that person is, completely changed the chemistry, my dynamic, the person, that instance of time changed who I was. Like, I love, like, for me, I know it sounds fucking crazy this coming out of my mouth after having this conversation, right? But I love World of Warcraft. Okay, that sounds fucking crazy. I know that sounds nuts. The reason I love World of Warcraft is because, not because of the fucking game. Well, it is because of the game World of Warcraft, but it's more about the feeling I had by doing so. It was a moment of time that you can never, like, you had to understand. Me as a little kid and just being able to have that as a resource changed my life for the end of who I was, right? And that's what I mean by like that person. But the thing is that right now to this day, even though I can't stand World of Warcraft right now, it's a shitty ass game, but right now, but I still love World of Warcraft. So is that a proper statement to say, like, I still love this person, even though maybe I can't stand that person to this day? Is it, you see my question?
Yes. Yes, and to that I would say kind of almost like you appreciate them, like humble beginnings in a way. Like, you know, this is where I started off. Like, I have a love-hate relationship just the same way I have like a love-hate relationship with Starbucks. Like, you get me? Like, oh, I could say the same with my brother. Like, you know, he spends a lot of his time, like, he spent a lot of his time playing, but because of that, like, that kind of actually ended up helping him in the long run. Same thing, like, you know, you started off like loving World of Warcraft and then later hating the game, but then realized like it actually gave you like really good communication skills and, like, you know, skills for this and skills for that, and you're just like, oh, okay, at least it benefited me in some way. Like, there's a reason for something, even if it doesn't like benefit you the way that you want it at that time. It's helping you in some other way to learn a lesson, to like get.
But my specific question here, I agree with everything you're saying.
Yes.
My specific question here is it proper to say that I still love this person, still love this thing?
I wouldn't say.
Not still, sorry. Is it proper to say that I love this person or I love this thing, right? Because my earlier statement was I love my ex. But there's some truth to that. There's some sense of time where that was a really big. Okay, fucking sounds crazy. It sounds absolutely crazy.
I guess, like,
but I'm trying to find what is the right terminology then? What would you substitute that sentence for?
You know how there's people that go like, oh yeah, or like you read it in books like, oh, I'm a person that's lived many lives. I'm kind of like Confucius, blah 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 blah. Like, there's many stages in life where, like, you learn things, you have revelations, you like see enlightenment or whatever, but you see it as it was that moment in time. This is that moment in time that catapulted me to realize this helped me with this. Like, yes, in that moment you love that person and that is a memory that you will have, but in the present you are no longer in love or infatuated with that person. It was just, you know, a life that you lived. It was one of your many lives that you've lived until now, right? Until
see, this is so good. I'm gonna stay here. Okay, yeah. I want to stay here because this is good. I'm just glad to have this conversation with you specifically. Yeah. So I'm gonna say we grew up together, but in a way, low key, we did. And I know a little bit about your story, and I've literally heard the whole entire thing. What really why I have this question for you is because you know, love is something that's really hard to pinpoint, right? Because everyone likes someone, you know what I'm saying? For real. Let's be cool. Let's be honest, okay? Like, everyone likes someone. I've been in high school. I had crushes on people. You know what I'm saying? I have many crushes on individuals. And so, but that doesn't grow if you don't feed it, if you don't nurture it, you don't give it, you know, love, or you don't add value into it, right? Mm-hmm. It doesn't become something. But when you do, right? Like, if you plant this tree, right? This is apple seed, and you water it every day, and you give it sunlight, and you water every day, and you give it sunlight, and you water every day, you give it something, right? And it grows to this bountiful apple tree, and it gives you apple trees, right? But it starts fucking with your foundation to your house, okay? It starts breaking your house foundation. Your house might fucking go flood, or breaking your pipes and crazy shit like that, right? But I still fucking love this apple tree. I don't like what it's doing right now. I don't like what the actions that it has at the moment. But there's still love for that thing, right? So when I say, like, I love my ex, in terms of, like, I still have love for that person, in terms of that, like, instance in time. Now, so my question for you is that do you feel like that whole dynamic, do you feel like that is a toxic love to have? Because you essentially mentioned that one thing that's been consistent in your life in the short term is the love for art, the love of that art, like and you maybe have broken it down. So you could have said love for drawing, but it's in this rawest form, it's art, right? And if you have love for that thing, then I believe that it's equivalent with it, right? Love is art. Art is love. Do you agree with that kind of that statement, or do you feel like they're they're different?
I think art is love because art is really expressive. The only way to like truly express oneself is, I guess, through art. And I would say my body is a temple, so my body is art. That's how I would put it. But how do I
so then so that I'm gonna flip it then. Okay. Is it possible to say that if I love a person or people, then people is love?
No.
Okay.
It's
I think it's interesting. Yeah, I just had an interesting combo I've been thinking about.
No,
so I was curious what your thoughts were on that.
Not everyone has the same agenda, so I would say people are not art, but art can be influenced or produced by people, definitely. I would say that
not people as art, but I'm saying love is people. What people are love. I understand. Keep continuing. Sorry, not to
my feeble mind. I just
too much, too deep.
No, but I would say, like, for me, okay, so for example, like, I love art. I love creating. At one point in time, I was making music solely based off of my emotions or how I was feeling at the time, and I made a few tracks that were so scary after the fact that I couldn't even listen to them because it just kind of like reminded me of dark times. Like when I would listen to the playback, it was just like, I cannot believe that I created something like this. Like, this is kind of scary. Like, this is something that would give me nightmares. Like, why am I putting this out there? Like, why? Like, I'm not trying to manifest anything. If anything, I'm trying to explain something or like have someone, feel what I was feeling, but it felt like it was just too dark and I had like put it out there, and so a lot of the tracks that I made, I ended up just like taking them off. Like, I was like, no, this is not something that I want out there. If I'm gonna produce something, I'm gonna produce something that I'm like comfortable with, something that I'm happy with, something that actually shows where I want to go in life. So
at one point in time, did you love that track?
I did. Actually, it's not that I loved it, it's that I was letting it all out. I was like letting it all off my shoulders, getting it all out, letting the emotion out, and whatever the sound came out to be, that's what I wanted to hear. I wanted to see, and I wanted to like hear what I was going through, and I wanted people to know. And then after I started getting over it and I started feeling better and I started going back and hearing back like the playbacks, that's where I'm just like, whoa. So like any regular person, this is kind of like, yeah, you're really going through it, like, you need help. And so I'm just like, if this is scary to the regular person, this is not like a good piece of art. Like, this is not a good piece of art that's gonna attract people to
Interesting.
Like, yeah.
I feel like I think that is the where I'm a little bit different there. The way I kind of see it is that I care what people think, clearly, because I live in a world of that. With two people interacting with each other, you can't live a life of loneliness. I think when people say they don't care what someone thinks, I think that's just not true. I think you do care.
You do care.
I think you do care. But I think, though, is that how you let that affect your decision making is the question, right?
Yeah.
You care about what other people feel about the things that you create, right? But does that mean you stop creating it? Does that mean you
Definitely not.
See, but that's a little bit of the question, right? Mm-hmm. And the reason I bring this up is because I feel like there's times where there's times where I feel like I'm in a world where I don't know what the best decision to make, right? The best decision, but you won't know until hindsight's 2020. But what I might gain from that is that someone might hear that situation, someone might experience that, right? And be like, yo, I feel what you were trying to do there. Like, I may hear it, or I may give it to like the people around me, and they may hear it and they might not understand. Example of me like starting this business, right? I started the business and a lot of people around me was like, I don't think this is a good idea, right? But now, hindsight being 2020, they're like, shit, holy cow, that's awesome. I'm glad you see what you're doing. You're doing great, right? So it's sometimes I feel like beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah.
And so do I like not share the work because of like even the way I see it? Maybe someone could see something or gain something positive from that situation too. It's such a hard balance of what do you do? What do you do when you see your own work and you're like, fuck, that's a little dangerous right there.
It's like literally taking a leap and having faith in yourself. Like I did put that work out. I did leave it out there for a period of time, and afterwards I started coming up with different things. I'm like, you know what? Like, I do like what I'm doing, but I want to do it a little differently.
Reinvent yourself.
Reinvent myself.
Rebrand yourself.
Yeah, rebrand myself. I want to actually, if I can do all of this, if I put the right energy in a different, area, then I can actually make something and actually it be actually good, right? So, it's just about refocusing my energy at that point and trying to make a bad situation into a good situation, because that's as much control as you're gonna have. And
I think that's why now I can think I got it full circle of why you like art so much and why love is art to you. The sense of just feeling like no matter what's going on in life, you can always revisit and reinvent yourself in a way. Express how you feel right now and grow and develop yourself. What you are today does not mean who you are going to be tomorrow.
No, exactly. It's
a picture of today. It's a picture of the moment. It's a picture of the feeling, right? It's home. Home is anywhere your heart is at. And you mentioned love is your heart, it's your soul. So that's really cool to see it kind of come into that form for you.
Yeah, you know how they say that if you do come back in another life, like, oh, you may come back as like an animal or whatever. Like, in this one life that I have, at least I'm trying to experience as much as I can, because I don't know when I'm going to come back in the next life. So in this life, it's like, oh, I tried to do this, I tried to do that, I documented this, I documented that, because, like, why not? Why not? It's so funny and it's so cool to see, like, old history books or old, like, just, like, autobiographies or whatever of, like, random people in the world, and it's like, oh, what did they do to contribute? Like, if I could do something to contribute, that would be great. For now, I'm just documenting my life, and I'm just trying to make the best of it and the most of it, and, like, art seems to be the way, creating seems to be the way. I don't know, I feel like that really brings me together, that and music. So
if you had a moment to, and I'm sticking on love, because what time is it? Oh yeah, we gotta go. So we're gonna have to do another show, guys. We're gonna have to bring it back, guys. We would stay here less longer, but your boy got to go to the gym at 5 a.m. So it's like, it's right there in the streets. Yeah. So I'm gonna ask this final question. I'm really curious because you kind of went through this process. You already explained it to me, but I think it's a little bit different when you explain it to someone else, right? If you had a kid, what do you want, a daughter, son?
I guess it doesn't really matter.
I mean, maybe it does.
I don't know. I mean, I guess I would want...
If possible. Even adopt, let's call it.
I guess I would want a daughter.
Okay.
I don't know what I would want first, but let's say a daughter.
If you had a daughter.
Okay.
And you had the chance, right? She was wide open. Sat, like, in terms of, like, her, she's like an open mind, right? Ready to just be poured with knowledge, right? Okay. And you had a chance to influence, get a little drop of just yourself into that person. How would you explain what love is to her? How would you explain it to a little girl what to look out for if she's about to go and experience the world of life, and you have a chance to just, like, be careful with, just this is what love is. And that's how you'll know.
That's hard. Damn. That's love. Well, for starters, I'm just going to say what my dad used to tell me. What is not love.
Ooh.
He would say, if a guy ever tells you, hey, I love you, or hey, whatever, prove it to me, and like ask you to have sex, that's not love. You having to prove yourself and have sexual relationships with somebody else, with it doesn't matter what gender, that is not proving yourself that you love them. Like, if they loved you, they would respect you enough not to even bring that up or ask you that. So for starters, that's not love. That's, just taking advantage. But yeah, so there's that. And let me see what else.
I want to pause here. I think that's a better question to ask, because what I think we just sat here is just figured out that what love means to me is very different from what love means to you. Not very different, but I think it's from somewhat similar. To try to explain what love is to someone, I think, is one thing, but I think everyone can agree what love is not. And I think that's such a smarter approach. Instead of trying to tell someone, like, this is what it is, instead, you just took the approach of, like, well, this is what it's not.
It's not.